In the glittering world of New York's elite social circles, they only saw her as the naive newcomer who organized charity galas. None of them suspected that behind her elegant smile and designer dresses, Sofia Reyes carried the weight of a deadly secret. She was systematically dismantling one of the city's most dangerous criminal empires from within. But when the truth finally emerged, the entire Manhattan underworld would learn just how fatal their mistake had been in underestimating her. At the Metropolitan Museum's annual Winter Gala, Sofia Reyes moved through the crowd with practiced grace, her emerald evening gown catching the light of crystal chandeliers. To New York's elite, she was simply the talented new event coordinator who had taken the city's social scene by storm over the past 6 months. Tonight's charity auction was her crowning achievement. Every notable figure in Manhattan society had turned out, including several members of the notorious Castellano family. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. Vincent Castellano watched her from across the room, a predatory smile playing on his lips as he sipped aged whiskey. His family's investment firm controlled half of Manhattan's underground operations, and tonight's gala presented the perfect opportunity to launder several million through artistic donations. To him, Sofia was just another social climber they could easily manipulate. What no one at the gala realized was that every elegant step Sofia took was precisely calculated. Each smile, each graceful gesture, had been perfected through years of training, not in event planning, but in the hidden dojos of Brazil's most elite special operations unit. The delicate bracelet on her wrist concealed a garrote wire, and the ornate hairpin holding her dark curls in place was sharp enough to slice through carotid arteries. As she ascended the stage to begin the auction, Sofia caught a glimpse of Marco Castellano, Vincent's younger brother, roughly grabbing one of the waitresses behind a pillar. The young woman's eyes were wide with fear as Marco's fingers dug into her arm. Sofia's careful mask slipped for just a moment, her fingers tightening around the microphone as she remembered a similar scene from her childhood. Her mother's desperate eyes as men from a criminal organization dragged her away, punishment for her father's refusal to cooperate with their operations. The memory threatened to crack her composed facade, but Sofia had spent too many years preparing for this mission. She smoothly began the auction, her voice steady and charming as she guided the wealthy crowd through astronomical bids for overpriced art. All the while, her trained eyes cataloged every interaction, every whispered conversation between Castellano family members and their associates. The real show began when Vincent Castellano stood to make his bid on a particularly valuable piece. Sofia knew what would happen next. She had orchestrated every detail. As Vincent raised his hand to bid $5 million, his brother Marco suddenly stumbled forward, spilling red wine across Vincent's custom suit. In the ensuing chaos, no one noticed Sofia's swift movement as she planted a microscopic tracking device on Vincent's phone while helping him clean up. "I am so terribly sorry, Mr. Castellano," she gushed, playing the part of the mortified event planner perfectly. "Please, let me have your jacket cleaned immediately. We have an excellent service on call for such accidents." Vincent waved away her concern with the casual arrogance of a man used to commanding fear and respect. "Think nothing of it, Ms. Reyes. These things happen." His smile didn't reach his eyes as he added, "Though I do hope the rest of the evening proceeds more smoothly." The threat in his voice was subtle but clear. Sofia responded with just the right amount of nervous energy, her hands fluttering anxiously as she assured him the auction would continue without further incident. Inside, she was perfectly calm, knowing that phase 1 of her operation was now complete. As the gala wound down in the early hours of the morning, Sofia maintained her role flawlessly, graciously accepting compliments on a successful event while appearing appropriately distressed about the earlier accident. Only once she was alone in her penthouse apartment did she allow her true self to emerge. The elegant gown was exchanged for tactical gear, and her carefully styled hair was pulled back into a severe braid. Activating a secure terminal hidden behind a false wall, Sofia connected with her handler at the Special Operations Command. "Target acquired," she reported crisply. "Tracking device is active, and the Castellanos suspect nothing. Ready to proceed with Phase 2. The face on her screen nodded grimly. Excellent work, Agent Reyes, but be careful. There's been chatter about a potential leak in our operation. The Castellanos may be more prepared than we anticipated. Sofia's lips curved into a dangerous smile as she checked her weapons. Let them prepare. They see what they want to see. A harmless social butterfly. By the time they realize their mistake, it will be far too late. Little did Sofia know that her carefully laid plans were about to collide with an unexpected variable. One that would force her to reveal her true nature far sooner than intended, setting in motion a chain of events that would shake Manhattan's criminal underworld to its core. The following evening, Sofia sat in her penthouse's secure room, reviewing surveillance data from the tracking device, while a wall of monitors displayed various camera feeds from around the Castellano organization's known properties. The soft blue glow of the screens illuminated her concentrated expression as she mapped out patrol patterns and security rotations. Her methodical analysis was interrupted when her secure terminal suddenly lit up with an urgent alert, its warning beacon casting red shadows across the room. Someone had accessed classified files about her operation, files that were supposedly sealed at the highest levels of government security. Not just any files, but specifically the ones containing her true identity and mission parameters. A moment later, her handler's face appeared on screen, the usual composure in his weathered features replaced by grave concern. "We have a serious problem, Agent Reyes," he said, his voice tight with tension. "The leak is worse than we initially assessed. Someone just tried to decrypt your true identity file using high-level clearance codes. Codes that should only be available to a handful of people in our entire organization. They failed to break through the final encryption, but..." He hesitated, running a hand through his graying hair. "They were accessing it from within the Castellano building." Sofia's mind raced through the implications, her training automatically calculating variables and potential scenarios. A mole inside their organization? Someone trying to verify suspicions about me? Or worse, someone inside our own ranks, her handler replied grimly, his image flickering slightly on the secure feed. "Either way, your cover may be compromised sooner than planned. We're advising immediate extraction. There's a safe house in Montreal ready to receive you." But Sofia had spent 3 years meticulously working toward this moment. 3 years of building her cover, gaining trust, and positioning herself perfectly within New York's social elite. 3 years of watching her targets while pretending to be nothing more than a sophisticated event planner. She hadn't come this far to retreat at the first sign of complication. "No," she said firmly, standing to check her weapons cache hidden behind a false wall panel. "This is exactly the catalyst we need. If they're suspicious, they'll be watching me closely, which means they'll lead me straight to their main operation centers, places we haven't been able to locate yet. That's exactly why it's too dangerous," her handler argued, his voice rising slightly. "If they're onto you, they'll be ready. The Castellanos didn't build their empire by being careless." Before her handler could continue his protest, Sofia's personal phone buzzed with an incoming message. A text from Vincent Castellano himself. "Ms. Reyes, I'd like to discuss sponsoring another charity event. Your work at the gala was impressive. Dinner tonight? La Volta, 8 p.m. La Volta, the Castellanos' favorite restaurant, a seemingly upscale Italian establishment that served as their unofficial meeting ground for sensitive business discussions, the place where they took people to either recruit them or eliminate them. Sofia allowed herself a small, dangerous smile as she texted back an enthusiastic acceptance, complete with appropriately excited emojis. "They're making their move," she told her handler, already moving to prepare. "And so are we." At precisely 8 p.m., Sofia walked through La Volta's ornate entrance, wearing a deceptively simple black dress that concealed both a ceramic blade against her thigh and a slim pistol in a custom holster at the small of her back. The dress had been specifically designed for maximum mobility, despite its elegant appearance, one of many tools in her carefully crafted arsenal. Vincent Castellano was already seated in a private booth near the back, flanked by 2 guards who were trying too hard to look like regular diners. Their suit jackets couldn't quite hide the bulge of shoulder holsters. Sofia's trained eye quickly noted 2 more guards at the bar, one by the kitchen entrance, and another near the emergency exit. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. 6 armed men in total. They were definitely suspicious. Ms. Reyes, Vincent rose to greet her, his broad smile not quite reaching his cold eyes. Thank you for joining me on such short notice. His handshake was firm, lingering just a fraction too long, testing, probing for reactions. The dance began immediately, a careful choreography of subtle probing questions and calculated responses. Vincent asked about her background, her previous work experience, her connections in the city. Sofia countered with perfectly crafted answers that were technically true while revealing nothing of substance. Each response was a move in an intricate game of cat and mouse, though neither party was willing to reveal which was which. It was during the main course, after their 3rd glass of wine, that the real game began. You know, Vincent said casually, swirling his Bordeaux while studying her over the rim of his glass. It's fascinating how quickly you've integrated yourself into New York society, almost as if you've had professional training in adapting to new environments. Sofia laughed lightly, projecting just the right mix of amusement and confusion. Oh, I wish. Mostly it's just good instincts and a lot of lucky breaks. Plus, people tend to open up when you show genuine interest in their charitable causes. Luck, Vincent mused, setting down his glass with deliberate precision. Yes, you seem to have quite a lot of that. Like how lucky it was that my brother spilled his wine exactly when he did last night, creating such a perfect distraction. The threat in his voice was unmistakable now. Sofia maintained her confused smile, but her muscles tensed imperceptibly beneath her dress, ready for action. A quick scan confirmed the guards had shifted positions, moving to cut off potential escape routes. They were all trying too hard to look casual, a rookie mistake that only confirmed their intentions. I'm not sure I understand, she said, her voice carefully uncertain even as her mind calculated the fastest way to neutralize all 6 men if necessary. Are you suggesting? Vincent's hand shot out, grabbing her wrist with bruising force. His facade of civility vanished, replaced by cold menace. I'm suggesting, Ms. Reyes, if that's even your name, that you're not who you claim to be. In that split second, Sofia made a tactical decision. Her cover was compromised, but she could use this to her advantage. Time to show just a fraction of her true capabilities. With lightning speed, she twisted her arm in a move that broke Vincent's grip and nearly his wrist. Before his guards could react, she had him in a subtle but excruciating joint lock, all while maintaining a pleasant smile for any onlooking diners. You're right, Mr. Castellano, she said softly, applying just enough pressure to make him gasp. I'm not who I claim to be. The question is, are you prepared to find out who I really am? The guards were moving now, trying to approach casually to avoid causing a scene. Vincent's face was a mask of rage and disbelief as he realized just how badly he had underestimated her. You have no idea what you're dealing with, he snarled, his composure completely shattered. No, Sofia replied calmly, releasing him and standing up. You don't. She walked out of the restaurant with measured steps, every movement precise and controlled. She could feel the guards' eyes on her back, their hands itching to reach for their weapons. But they wouldn't dare make a scene in public, another weakness she could exploit later. As she drove home, Sofia contacted her handler on a secure line. Cover's blown, but we're proceeding with the operation. They'll be moving their sensitive operations now, trying to protect themselves from me. All we have to do is watch where they run. What Sofia didn't know was that at that very moment, Vincent Castellano was making a call that would change everything, reaching out to someone who specialized in dealing with operatives like her, someone who had their own score to settle with both the Special Operations Command and Sofia's past, a person whose very name was spoken in whispers among intelligence agencies. The real game was about to begin, and the stakes were higher than even Sofia realized. The next 48 hours transformed Sofia's entire operational landscape. Her penthouse apartment, once a perfect cover location, was now compromised. She had already activated her contingency protocols, moving her essential equipment and intel to a secure backup location in Brooklyn, a seemingly abandoned warehouse that had been carefully modified over the past 3 years in preparation for this exact scenario. Standing in her new command center, surrounded by screens displaying surveillance feeds, Sofia watched the Castellano organization scrambling to adapt. Their usual haunts were suddenly vacant, their regular meetings canceled, and their legitimate business fronts showing unusual activity patterns. They were relocating their operations, just as she had predicted. Their security protocols have shifted dramatically, her handler reported through the secure feed. They've brought in external consultants, professionals. But that's not what concerns me. He paused, his expression darkening. They've made contact with someone known only as the architect. Sofia's hands stilled over her keyboard. The architect was a ghost story in the intelligence community, a strategic genius who specialized in dismantling covert operations from the inside out. Some said they were former CIA, others claimed ex-Mossad. No one knew their true identity. That's impossible, Sofia replied, though uncertainty crept into her voice. The architect is just a myth. Not anymore. Our sources confirm they arrived in New York this morning. Sofia. Her handler hesitated. This changes everything. We need to pull you out. Before Sofia could respond, her surveillance system flagged unusual movement at one of the Castellanos' subsidiary companies. A convoy of unmarked vehicles was departing their downtown office building, not their usual transport vehicles, but professional security vehicles with subtle modifications, the kind used for high-value asset protection. They're moving something important, Sofia muttered, already gearing up. Or someone. Sofia, don't even think about it. With the architect in play. This is exactly what we've been waiting for, she interrupted, checking her weapons. They're scared, making moves they wouldn't normally make, showing us things they've kept hidden. She was already moving, selecting equipment from her arsenal with practiced efficiency. The warehouse's hidden garage housed her backup vehicle, a matte black motorcycle modified for both speed and stealth. Within minutes, she was on the road, weaving through New York traffic as she tracked the convoy's movement through the city's CCTV network. The convoy's route was irregular, designed to shake any tail, but Sofia had spent years studying New York's street patterns. She could predict their likely destinations based on their current trajectory and the Castellanos' known properties. Her earpiece crackled with her handler's voice. Sofia, listen carefully. New intel just came in. The architect isn't just consulting for the Castellanos. They specifically requested you. Sofia's blood ran cold. What do you mean? They knew you were coming. Not just your cover identity. They knew about Operation Shadowfall. Operation Shadowfall, the classified mission from 5 years ago that had earned Sofia her reputation in the intelligence community. The operation that was supposed to be sealed at the highest levels. The operation where she had first encountered Marcus, she breathed, the name tasting like ashes in her mouth. The convoy suddenly changed direction, heading toward the industrial district near the river. Sofia's mind raced with new possibilities, each more concerning than the last. If Marcus was the architect, if he was really here in New York. She was so absorbed in these thoughts that she almost missed the black SUV that pulled out behind her. Almost. Years of training kicked in as she noticed the vehicle's slight modifications, reinforced bumpers, tactical tires. "I've got company," she reported, accelerating through traffic. "They were waiting for me." "Get out of there now," her handler ordered. "If Marcus is really involved..." 2 more SUVs appeared ahead, trying to box her in. Sofia's motorcycle wove between lanes, but these weren't ordinary pursuers. Their movements were coordinated, professional. They were herding her, forcing her toward the waterfront. In a split-second decision, Sofia gunned the engine and aimed for a narrow alley. The motorcycle roared between the buildings, scraping sparks off the walls as she threaded the needle at high speed. The SUVs couldn't follow, but she knew they didn't need to. Emerging from the alley, she found herself facing the river. The convoy she had been following was there, vehicles parked in a semicircle, and in the center, standing with the casual confidence that she remembered all too well, was Marcus. He looked exactly as she remembered. Tall, distinguished, with gray temples that only added to his authority. The man who had trained her, mentored her, and then vanished 5 years ago after Operation Shadowfall went wrong. "Hello, Sofia," he called out, his voice carrying across the distance. "We need to talk about what really happened in Budapest." Sofia's mind raced through her options, knowing that every second brought Marcus's backup closer. She had walked into his trap, or had she? Perhaps this was exactly where she needed to be to finally uncover the truth. The real question was, what would it cost her to find out? The tension at the waterfront was electric as Sofia faced her former mentor. Marcus stood relaxed, hands in the pockets of his expensive suit, but she knew better than anyone how quickly he could shift from casual to lethal. Behind him, the Castellano convoy's drivers and guards maintained their positions, weapons not yet drawn but ready. "Budapest was a long time ago," Sofia replied, keeping her motorcycle's engine idling. Her eyes scanned the scene continuously, mapping escape routes and threat levels. Ancient history. Marcus's smile was razor sharp. "Is that what they told you? That I went rogue? That I betrayed the operation?" He took a step forward. "Or did they tell you I died in that explosion? Your handler seems fond of convenient explosions." Sofia's grip tightened on her handlebars. 5 years ago, Operation Shadowfall had gone catastrophically wrong. A simple infiltration had turned into a bloodbath, and Marcus, her mentor, her friend, had supposedly died ensuring her escape, or so she'd been told. "Why the Castellanos?" she asked, buying time as she noticed movement on the rooftops above. Snipers taking position. "Of all the organizations you could work with?" "Because they're just the tip of the iceberg, Sofia." Marcus spread his arms. "Your entire mission is built on lies. The Special Operations Command, the supposed criminal empire you're trying to take down. It's all a cover for something much bigger." 2 more SUVs pulled up behind Sofia, blocking her escape route back through the alley. She was completely surrounded now, but Marcus was still talking. He wanted her to hear this. "Think about it," he continued. "Why would they send their best operative on a simple organized crime takedown? The Castellanos are powerful, yes, but they're not worth this level of resources. Not worth you." Sofia's mind raced. She had wondered the same thing during her mission prep, but her handler had insisted the Castellanos were just the first step in dismantling a larger criminal network. "Your handler," Marcus said, as if reading her thoughts, "has been feeding you selective intelligence. Remember Tehran? Remember how the intel suddenly changed mid-operation?" Sofia's blood ran cold. She had never reported the irregularities from that mission. How did Marcus know? A new voice crackled in her earpiece, her handler. "Sofia, don't listen to him. He's trying to compromise you just like he did in Budapest. Take him down or get out of there." But Sofia's training, the very training Marcus had given her, was already picking apart inconsistencies. The way her handler had pushed her to maintain her cover even after it was blown. The convenient timing of the leaked files. The way she'd been steered toward this confrontation. "If I'm lying," Marcus said softly, "why haven't they taken the shot?" Sofia's eyes flicked to the snipers on the roof. They had clear lines of fire. Why were they waiting? "Because this isn't about the Castellanos at all, is it?" she realized aloud. "This entire operation, it's about you, about finding you." Marcus nodded slowly. "Now you're asking the right questions. They needed their best operative to draw me out. Someone I would trust. Someone I trained." His expression hardened. "Someone I wouldn't want to kill." The SUVs behind her suddenly erupted with gunfire, but not aimed at her. They were firing at new vehicles that had appeared at the other end of the street. Her handler's extraction team, she realized. But why did it feel like their arrival was perfectly timed? "Choose now, Sofia," Marcus commanded as chaos erupted around them. "Stay and learn the truth about who you really work for, or run back to the lies they've fed you for years." In the midst of the firefight, Sofia's training kicked in. She gunned her motorcycle's engine, but not toward either group. Instead, she aimed for a narrow gap between shipping containers. Bullets whizzed past her as both sides opened fire, but she couldn't tell anymore which side was which. Her handler was shouting in her earpiece, "Sofia, what are you doing? Get back here now." With a swift motion, she ripped out the earpiece and crushed it under her wheel. As she weaved through the maze of containers, her mind worked furiously. If Marcus was telling the truth, her entire mission was compromised. If he was lying, she was letting a dangerous rogue agent escape. Either way, she needed answers that neither side seemed willing to give. She emerged from the container maze near a different section of the waterfront. Behind her, the sounds of gunfire and explosions continued, but she didn't turn back. Instead, she activated a secure phone she'd kept for absolute emergencies and dialed a number she'd memorized years ago. "I need everything you have on Operation Shadowfall," she said when the line connected. "And I mean everything. No redactions, no cover-ups." The voice that responded was aged but sharp. "I wondered when you'd call, Agent Reyes. Tell me, what do you know about Project Oracle?" Sofia's world tilted on its axis. Project Oracle. She'd seen that name only once, in a heavily redacted file just before Budapest. Before everything went wrong. The game had changed. Now she wasn't just hunting the Castellanos or Marcus. She was hunting the truth. And for the first time in her career, Sofia Reyes didn't know who to trust. 2 days after the waterfront confrontation, Sofia sat in a dimly lit corner of the New York Public Library's rare manuscript room, poring over decades-old newspapers. Her secure phone lay silent beside her, its screen occasionally lighting up with encrypted messages from her mysterious new contact, a person who called themselves Cassandra and seemed to know an unsettling amount about both Project Oracle and Sofia's past. The library's cameras had all experienced a mysterious malfunction in this section, courtesy of a device hidden in Sofia's laptop bag. She couldn't risk being tracked here, not while pursuing leads that seemingly connected the Castellano family to a series of mysterious government projects dating back to the Cold War. Her concentration was broken by a subtle vibration from another phone, one of her backup devices. A text message appeared. "Check today's financial news." Third page. Sofia pulled up the Wall Street Journal on her tablet. There, in a seemingly innocuous article about corporate mergers, was the signal she'd been waiting for. The Castellanos were moving their major assets, preparing for something big. Before she could dig deeper, movement at the edge of her vision caught her attention. 2 men in suits had entered the manuscript room, their practiced casualness setting off every alarm in her trained mind. They moved like operators, not academics. Sofia began her exit protocol, calmly packing her materials while keeping the men in her peripheral vision. That's when she noticed the third operative, a woman in librarian's clothing who had positioned herself near the only other exit. "Agent Reyes," a familiar voice spoke softly behind her. "Please, stay seated." Her former handler, David Chen, pulled out the chair across from her. He looked tired, his usually immaculate suit slightly wrinkled. "You've caused quite a stir going dark like that." "Funny," Sofia replied, her hands still calmly organizing her papers. "I was about to say the same about you. Project Oracle, David? How long have you been running it?" A flicker of surprise crossed his face. Genuine or practiced, she couldn't tell anymore. "So Marcus got to you after all. What did he tell you? That we're the villains? That he's trying to expose some grand conspiracy?" "He told me to ask questions," Sofia said, "like why a domestic crime investigation needed someone with my particular skill set, or why every lead I followed somehow led back to old government black sites." David leaned forward, his voice dropping lower. "Because the Castellanos aren't just criminals, Sofia. They're gatekeepers. They've been protecting something for decades, something that started during Project Oracle. Marcus wants it, God knows why, and we need to secure it first." "And Budapest?" "A necessary deception. Marcus had already been compromised. We needed him to believe he'd successfully gone dark." Sofia's fingers brushed against the ceramic blade concealed in her sleeve. "You know what your problem is, David? You're still trying to control the narrative, still feeding me selected pieces of the truth." She moved with explosive speed, but David was ready. As she flipped the heavy oak table toward him, he dove sideways, drawing his weapon. The other operators converged, but Sofia was already moving. She threw her specially designed laptop bag at the first man, and the electromagnetic pulse device inside fried every piece of electronics in a 10-foot radius. The lights flickered, emergency systems kicked in, and chaos erupted in the manuscript room. Sofia vaulted over a bookshelf as bullets splintered ancient wood behind her. The librarian proved to be the best shot, forcing Sofia to stay low as she maneuvered through the stacks. But this was why Sofia had chosen this location. She'd memorized every corner, every exit, every blind spot. She reached into her jacket and pulled out a small sphere, a prototype sonic disruptor she'd borrowed from a Special Operations Command research facility. The high-pitched wave it emitted wouldn't cause permanent damage, but the disorientation would buy her precious seconds. The device worked perfectly, sending her pursuers stumbling. Sofia used the opportunity to access her pre-planned escape route, a maintenance shaft that connected to an older section of the subway system. As she climbed down, David's voice echoed above. "You're choosing the wrong side, Sofia. Marcus will sacrifice you just like he sacrificed his other students." Sofia dropped into the tunnel below, her mind racing. Other students? That was new information, and from the way David had said it, possibly unintentional. She moved quickly through the darkness, following a path she'd mapped out months ago. Her phone vibrated again. Cassandra. "Did you get what you needed?" The message read. Sofia smiled grimly. More than they intended. Project Oracle wasn't just about protecting something, it was about training people. Special people. "Very good," Cassandra replied. "Now, are you ready to meet the other survivors?" Sofia paused in her tracks. For the first time since this all began, she felt like she was finally getting close to the truth. But one question remained. Why had Marcus never mentioned other students? As she emerged from the subway into a busy street, blending seamlessly with the crowd, Sofia made her decision. It was time to stop reacting and start hunting. The Castellanos, Marcus, David, they were all connected to Project Oracle, and she would unravel it all, starting with the other survivors. Following Cassandra's coordinates led Sofia to an abandoned mental hospital on Roosevelt Island. The crumbling Victorian architecture loomed against the darkening sky, its broken windows reflecting the last rays of sunset. According to the documents Sofia had uncovered, this facility had been one of Project Oracle's first testing sites in the 1960s. She approached cautiously, her enhanced contact lenses scanning for surveillance systems and heat signatures. The building appeared deserted, but her training had taught her that appearances were usually deceiving, especially when it came to Project Oracle. "You're late," a voice called from the shadows. A woman emerged, her silver hair cropped short, moving with the same deadly grace that Sofia recognized from her own training. "I'm Rachel Chen." Sofia's mind raced. "Chen? Any relation to—" "David Chen is my father," Rachel interrupted, her expression hardening. "Or rather, he was the man assigned to raise me as part of Project Oracle, just like Marcus was assigned to you." The implications hit Sofia like a physical blow. She remembered Marcus's lessons, his seemingly infinite patience, the way he'd shaped her into the perfect operative. Had it all been just another assignment? Rachel led her inside the building, through corridors that showed signs of recent renovation despite their decrepit exterior. They entered what had once been a treatment room, now converted into a high-tech command center. Two other people waited inside, a man of South Asian descent who introduced himself as Raj, and a younger woman with burn scars on her face who called herself Maya. "We're what's left of Project Oracle's second generation," Rachel explained, pulling up files on a holographic display. "The successes, if you want to call us that, the ones who survived the training." Images flashed across the screen, younger versions of themselves, along with others Sofia didn't recognize. All children, all with certain genetic markers that made them ideal candidates for the project's mysterious objectives. "How many were there?" Sofia asked, her voice tight. "Originally, 43 children," Raj answered, his fingers dancing across a keyboard. Now? Just the 5 of us. You, me, Rachel, Maya, and Marcus. Sophia's head snapped up. Marcus was one of us? Not a trainer? He was both. Maya spoke for the first time, her voice carrying a slight Eastern European accent. The first success of the program. They used him to train the next generation. Used his knowledge, his experience. She paused, touching her scarred face. His mistakes. Rachel pulled up another file. A detailed diagram of what looked like a quantum computing device, but with modifications Sophia had never seen before. This is what it was all about. Project Oracle wasn't just about creating perfect operatives. We were meant to interface with this, the Prometheus protocol. A quantum AI system, Raj explained, designed to predict and prevent global threats before they happen. But it needed special operators, people with enhanced cognitive abilities who could interpret and act on its predictions. The Castellanos, Sophia realized. They're protecting this technology? They're protecting us, Rachel corrected. Or at least they were. The original Project Oracle scientists realized what they'd created was too dangerous. They shut it down, scattered the technology, and hired the Castellanos to guard the pieces and keep watch over the children they couldn't save. Maya stood, moving to a wall covered in surveillance photos. But someone wants to restart the project. They've been gathering the pieces, eliminating witnesses, trying to recreate the program with a new generation of children. Marcus? Sophia asked. We thought so at first, Rachel said, but now we think he's trying to stop it just like we are. The real threat. She pulled up one final image and Sophia felt her blood run cold. It was David Chen, meeting with a group of figures Sophia recognized from intelligence briefings. Representatives from various private military companies and shadow organizations. They're calling it Project Phoenix, Raj explained. A rebirth of Oracle, but without the ethical constraints of the original program. They want weapons, not protectors. Sophia studied the faces of her fellow survivors, seeing in them the same mix of determination and haunted knowledge that she felt. So, what's our play? First, Rachel said, we need to find Marcus. He has critical information about the original project, including the location of the main Prometheus device. Then, Maya added, we destroy it all. Make sure this can never happen to another generation. Sophia's mind was already formulating plans, running scenarios. The Castellanos, they'll help us. If we can convince them we're on the same side, Rachel confirmed. Their loyalty was always to protecting the children, not the technology. And David? Rachel's expression darkened. My father made his choice long ago. He'll try to stop us, claim it's for the greater good. Just like he did in Budapest. Sophia nodded, pieces of the puzzle finally falling into place. Budapest hadn't been about a rogue operation. It had been about Marcus trying to destroy part of the Prometheus protocol, with David attempting to stop him. When do we start? She asked. Already have, Raj said, pointing to his screens where data streamed past. The question is, are you ready to face what really happened to you? To all of us. Sophia thought about her years of training, the way Marcus had shaped her into what she was, the lies David had fed her. She thought about the other children who hadn't survived, and the ones who might suffer the same fate if Project Phoenix succeeded. Yes, she said firmly, it's time to end this. All of it. What she didn't say was that she had her own questions, about her recruitment, her true origins, and the real reason Marcus had chosen her for training. But those answers would have to wait. They had a war to win first. Over the next 48 hours, Sophia and her newfound allies transformed the abandoned hospital into a fully operational command center. Each of them brought unique skills to the table. Rachel's tactical expertise, Raj's technological brilliance, Maya's unparalleled knowledge of psychological warfare. Together, they began piecing together the complex web of Project Oracle's legacy. The Castellanos were never just mob bosses, Rachel explained, spreading out a series of documents across their planning table. They were chosen specifically because of their unique position, powerful enough to protect us but perceived as criminals so no one would look too closely at their real mission. Sofia studied a photograph of Vincent Castellano with a much younger version of herself, a memory she didn't have. They've been watching us our whole lives, haven't they? Protecting us, Maya corrected, her scarred face illuminated by the screens surrounding them. When the original scientists realized what Project Oracle was becoming, they needed someone who operated outside official channels. The Castellanos agreed to be our guardians, our shadow protectors. Raj's fingers flew across multiple keyboards as he spoke. That's why their organization never expanded beyond certain boundaries, never engaged in the worst criminal activities. They maintained just enough of a threatening presence to keep others away from us. Sofia's mind flashed back to her confrontation with Vincent at the restaurant. His words carried new meaning now. You have no idea what you're dealing with. He hadn't been threatening her. He'd been trying to warn her. We need to make contact, Sofia decided. Let them know we understand the truth. Already arranged, Rachel said, sliding a phone across the table. Vincent Castellano is waiting to meet us, but we do this carefully. There are still forces out there that want us eliminated. The meeting was set for midnight at an old church in Little Italy, neutral ground that the Castellanos had used for generations. As they prepared to move out, Sofia noticed something different about her companions. They moved in perfect synchronization, anticipating each other's actions without speaking. Project Oracle's training ran deep in all of them. How did you all find each other? Sofia asked as they geared up. Maya paused in checking her weapons. Marcus found us one by one. After Budapest, when he realized what David was planning with Project Phoenix, he began gathering the survivors. But he never came for me, Sofia said, the unspoken question hanging in the air. Rachel's expression softened slightly. You were different, Sofia. You were the last one he trained, the one he thought he could protect by keeping distant. He didn't want you drawn back into this. Fat lot of good that did, Raj commented, but there was understanding in his voice. They moved through the city like ghosts, using routes and methods that seemed to mirror each other's thinking. When they reached the church, Sofia realized why the Castellanos had chosen it. The architecture provided perfect sightlines and multiple escape routes, while the underground crypt offered secure meeting spaces. Vincent Castellano waited for them in the candle-lit crypt, alone except for his brother Marco. The tension in the air was palpable until Vincent spoke. So you finally know the truth, he said, his eyes moving over each of them. About what you are, what we were meant to protect. Why didn't you just tell me? Sofia asked. All those months I spent infiltrating your organization. Would you have believed us? Marco countered. That everything you knew about your life, your training, your mission was part of a decades-long project to create perfect human weapons? We had to let you discover it yourself, Vincent added, just like Marcus did. The mention of Marcus brought them all to attention. Rachel stepped forward. We need your help to find him. David Chen is getting close to reactivating the Prometheus protocol. Vincent's face darkened. We know. Our sources say they're gathering children again, testing them for the same genetic markers. History repeating itself, Maya muttered. Not if we can help it, Sofia said firmly. But we need everything you have. All the information your family has gathered over the years about Project Oracle. Vincent and Marco exchanged looks. What we have could start a war, Vincent said carefully. Are you sure you're ready for that? Sofia looked at her fellow survivors. Rachel with her tactical genius, Raj with his technological mastery, Maya with her psychological insight. She saw in them not just allies, but a family forged by shared trauma and common purpose. We were born into this war, she replied. We just didn't know it until now. Vincent nodded, reaching into his jacket. Instead of a weapon, he withdrew an old key. There's a vault in the basement of our family's original restaurant. Everything we know about Project Oracle, about what was done to you, about the Prometheus protocol, it's all there. Including, Marco added significantly, information about your parents, Sofia, your real parents. Sofia felt her heart skip a beat, but kept her expression neutral. Personal answers would have to wait. They had a mission to complete first. As they left the church, plans already forming for their next move, Sofia felt something she hadn't experienced since before Budapest. The sensation of being part of something larger than herself, of having people she could truly trust. They were no longer just survivors of Project Oracle. They were its reckoning. And somewhere out there, Marcus was waiting for them, holding the final pieces of a puzzle that had shaped their entire lives. The real question was, when they found him, would he be ready to face what his former students had become? The vault beneath the original Castellano restaurant was a testament to decades of careful documentation. Steel filing cabinets lined the walls, each filled with meticulously organized records of Project Oracle's history. But it was the central table that drew everyone's attention. Spread across it was a map marking locations across the globe, each point connected by red strings to photographs and documents. "This is where they took us," Rachel said softly, touching one of the photos, a facility hidden in the Swiss Alps, where they first realized what they could create. Sofia studied the map, her enhanced memory cataloging each location. These aren't just training facilities, they're pieces of a puzzle. The Prometheus protocol wasn't just one system, Raj explained, his fingers tracing the connections. It was distributed, hidden in fragments across multiple sites. The only way to access its full potential was through us, Maya finished. Our neural patterns shaped by the training act as keys. Their discussion was interrupted by an urgent alert from their security systems. Vincent burst into the vault, his usual composure shattered. "They're moving," he announced. "David's team just hit 3 of our protective sites simultaneously. They're gathering the fragments." Security footage appeared on their tablets, tactical teams efficiently breaching secure locations, eliminating resistance, extracting technology that had laid dormant for decades. "This doesn't make sense," Sofia said, studying the footage. "These teams, they're moving like us. The same patterns, the same techniques." Rachel's face went pale. "They're using the stored data from our training sessions. They're replicating our methods." "Not just replicating," Raj added, his screens filling with incoming data. "They're improving on them. AI-enhanced tactical systems learning from every engagement." A new alert flashed, this one from one of Marcus's dead drops. The message was brief but chilling. "Project Phoenix operational. First generation of new subjects in processing. You have 48 hours. "He's starting with children again," Maya whispered, her scarred hands clenching. "Just like they did with us." Sofia's mind raced through scenarios, calculating possibilities. Where would they keep them? "These new subjects?" Vincent pulled up building plans on the main display. "We've tracked unusual renovations at a private medical facility upstate. Heavy security upgrades, specialized equipment being installed." "Perfect cover," Rachel nodded. "Medical testing explains any unusual activities, and concerned parents would be kept at a distance." "We hit it," Sofia said firmly. "Tonight, before they can move the children or complete the neural programming." "It's not that simple," Raj cautioned. "David will be expecting us. He knows how we think, how we operate." "Then we do something he won't expect." Sofia turned to Vincent. "We need your entire organization, not just for support, for direct action." Vincent raised an eyebrow. "My people aren't trained for this kind of operation." "Exactly," Sofia smiled. "Their methods will be unpredictable. David's AI systems are trained on our tactics. They won't know how to counter ordinary criminals." "A chaos element," Rachel mused, understanding dawning. "While they're dealing with the Castellanos?" "We slip in through their blind spots," Maya finished, "using their own predictions against them." Raj was already typing. "I can use their AI's focus on our usual patterns to create digital blind spots, make us invisible by making us look like random noise in their systems." The plan came together quickly. The Castellanos would launch an all-out assault on the facility's main entrance, appearing to be a criminal organization trying to steal valuable medical research. While David's forces were occupied with this obvious threat, the Project Oracle survivors would infiltrate through unexpected vectors. "One problem," Vincent pointed out. "Marcus. He's still out there, still an unknown factor." What if he moves while we're committed to this operation? He'll be there, Sofia said with certainty. Whatever his true agenda, he won't let them start the program again. Not with children. As they prepared for the mission, Sofia found Rachel studying her intently. What is it? Sofia asked. You've changed, Rachel observed. When we first met, you were still thinking like a solo operator. Now, ... Now I understand what Marcus was trying to teach us all along, Sofia replied. We're stronger together. That's why they tried to keep us apart. The next few hours were a blur of preparation. The Castellano organization mobilized with impressive efficiency, their ordinary criminal enterprises providing perfect cover for gathering weapons and vehicles. Raj worked his technological magic, creating digital disguises that would make their movements look like normal traffic patterns. Maya established contact with sympathetic medical staff inside the facility, building a picture of its internal operations. Rachel coordinated with the Castellano tactical teams, teaching them just enough to be effectively unpredictable without compromising their natural chaos factor. And Sofia studied everything they had on Marcus, trying to predict where he would appear in the coming conflict. She knew her old mentor would have his own plan, his own agenda. The question was, when the moment came, would she be able to trust him? As night fell, Sofia stood on the roof of the Castellano restaurant, watching the city lights flicker like stars. Tomorrow, they would either end Project Oracle forever, or watch it rise again in an even more terrible form. We're ready, Vincent said behind her. Sofia nodded, her decision made. Then let's go save some kids. And somewhere out in the darkness, she knew Marcus was watching, waiting to play his part in the coming storm. The assault on the medical facility began precisely at 2 a.m. The Castellano organization lived up to their reputation for chaos, launching a multi-pronged attack that overwhelmed the facility's outer security. Cars screeched through barriers, gunfire erupted from multiple directions, and explosions lit up the night sky, all carefully orchestrated to look like a crude but massive criminal operation. From her position on a nearby rooftop, Sofia watched the chaos unfold through high-powered optics. David's security forces responded exactly as predicted, deploying their AI-enhanced tactical teams to counter what they perceived as the main threat. Primary distraction is in place, Vincent's voice crackled through their secure comms. Their systems are fully engaged with our people. Raj's fingers danced across his portable command center. Security algorithms are adapting to the Castellano attack patterns and completely missing our approach vectors. We're ghosts in their machines. Sofia gave the signal, and her team moved. They descended from different positions, using routes that deliberately avoided their usual tactical patterns. Rachel took the east approach, Maya the west, while Sofia and Raj coordinated from separate overlook positions. Everything was going according to plan until Sofia's enhanced vision caught a familiar figure moving through the shadows near the facility's rear entrance. Marcus, she breathed. He's here. Stick to the plan, Rachel urged through the comms. We can't let him distract us from the primary objective. But Sofia's instincts, honed by years of training, by Marcus himself, told her something was wrong. His movement pattern was too obvious, almost like, it's a trap, she realized. He wants us to see him. Rachel, Maya, hold positions. The warning came just in time. The spots where they would have emerged from cover suddenly erupted with gunfire, not from David's forces, but from a third group that seemed to materialize from nowhere. New players on the field, Raj reported, his screens filling with data. These aren't David's people or ours. Different signatures, different tactics. Sofia's mind raced. Marcus isn't working alone, he's got his own team. Sofia, Maya's urgent voice cut through the comms. I've got eyes on the children. They're moving them out through an underground tunnel network. But something's wrong. They're not scared or resisting. They're moving in formation like soldiers, Rachel finished grimly. They've already started the programming. The situation was deteriorating rapidly. The Castellano distraction was holding, but now they were caught between David's forces and Marcus's mysterious team. Worse, their primary targets, the children, were being evacuated through routes they hadn't mapped. Sofia made a split-second decision. Fall back to contingency points. We need to regroup and reassess. What about the children? Maya demanded. We can't help them if we're dead, Rachel backed Sofia up. This just became a much bigger operation than we planned for. The retreat was executed with precision, each team member taking different routes to their emergency rendezvous point. An old theater the Castellanos had converted into a secure facility years ago. Vincent's people provided covering fire, making their withdrawal look like part of the chaotic criminal assault. Hours later, they gathered in the theater's underground command center, analyzing what had gone wrong. Marcus's team, Rachel said, reviewing footage from their body cameras. They move like us, but different, older training patterns. The first generation, Raj suggested. The ones who came before us? Maya shook her head. Project Oracle's records only showed 5 survivors from our generation. There was no mention of successful subjects before Marcus. Because those records were incomplete, a new voice said from the shadows. They all spun, weapons drawn, to find Marcus stepping into the light, his hands raised in a gesture of peace. How did you find this place? Vincent demanded. Because I helped set it up, Marcus replied calmly. Back when Project Oracle first began placing protection teams around their subjects. Sofia studied her former mentor carefully. The children at the facility, you weren't trying to stop us from reaching them. You were trying to stop us from falling into David's trap. Marcus nodded. Those children are already lost to us. What you saw wasn't a prisoner transfer, it was a graduation. Project Phoenix has succeeded in replicating the original programming protocols. They're creating perfect soldiers without the ethical constraints that limited the first project. The first project, Rachel said slowly. You mean? Yes, Marcus sighed, suddenly looking older. Project Oracle didn't begin with me or with any of you. What you saw tonight was my generation, the original subjects, the ones who didn't break under the programming. The implications hit them all hard. Everything they thought they knew about Project Oracle's history had been wrong. So what now? Sofia asked, her voice steady despite the revelations. Now, Marcus said, pulling out a drive and placing it on the table. I show you what we're really fighting, and why David's new project is even more dangerous than you imagine. The drive contained files none of them had seen before, the true history of Project Oracle, and the terrible price of creating perfect human weapons. As they began reviewing the data, Sofia realized their war had just become much more complex. They weren't just fighting to prevent history from repeating itself. They were fighting against its original architects. Marcus's drive contained decades of hidden history, surveillance footage, medical records, and mission reports that painted a horrifying picture of Project Oracle's true origins. The command center's screens filled with images of children from the 1960s, subjected to experimental procedures and brutal training regimens. The Cold War created us, Marcus explained, his voice heavy with memory. Both sides were looking for the perfect weapon, soldiers who could think faster, react better, predict enemy movements before they happened. The Prometheus protocol was supposed to be the ultimate command and control system. Sofia studied footage of young Marcus, barely a teenager, being connected to early versions of the neural interface. But something went wrong. Everything went wrong, he corrected. The system didn't just enhance our abilities. It started changing us at a fundamental level. Some subjects developed unprecedented cognitive capabilities. Others, he paused, his expression darkening. Others were destroyed by it. Rachel was reviewing medical files. These neural patterns, they're identical to what we saw in the new children at the facility. Because David isn't just recreating Project Oracle, Marcus said. He's perfecting it. The original project had ethical constraints, limits on how far they could push the human mind. Project Phoenix has no such limitations. Raj's analysis programs were running through the data. These new implementations are exponentially more aggressive than what was used on us. The integration rates, the neural rewiring. They're not creating enhanced operators anymore, Maya realized, her scarred face pale. They're creating something else entirely. Sofia was about to respond when her secure phone buzzed, a message from Cassandra. The text contained only an address and 3 words. They found them. Found what? Vincent asked, noting her sudden tension. Not what, Sofia said, her voice tight. Who? She turned to Marcus. You knew about my parents, didn't you? The real ones? Marcus nodded slowly. They were scientists on the original project. When they discovered what was really happening to the subjects, they tried to shut it down. They were going to expose everything. And? Sofia prompted, though she suspected she knew the answer. They disappeared, Marcus said softly. Or so we thought. Until now. The address Cassandra had sent led to an old research facility outside the city. Satellite imagery showed recent activity, vehicles coming and going, new security systems being installed. It's a Phoenix site, Raj confirmed, his screens displaying thermal images of the building. But different from the others. More medical equipment, fewer tactical systems. They're not training subjects there, Rachel observed. They're studying something. Or someone. Sofia's decision was immediate. We move now. Small team, minimal profile. It's probably a trap, Maya warned. Definitely a trap, Marcus agreed. David knows about your parents. He'll be expecting you to come for them. Then he won't be expecting all of us, Sofia countered. Rachel, Maya, I need you to prepare a diversion at one of the other Phoenix facilities. Make them think we're still focused on the children. Raj, you'll run operational support from here. Vincent, I need your people to create a perimeter around the facility. No one gets in or out without us knowing. And me? Marcus asked quietly. Sofia studied her former mentor. Despite everything, his training was still part of her, informing her every decision. You're with me. If this is a trap, I want you where I can see you. The next hour was a blur of preparation. Sofia and Marcus geared up while the others moved to their positions. The plan was simple but precise. Get in. Verify the presence of Sofia's parents. Extract them if possible. Gather intel if not. As they prepared to move out, Marcus caught Sofia's arm. There's something you need to know. About your parents. About why they were so important to the project. Save it, Sofia cut him off. Whatever it is, I need to hear it from them. Sofia, his voice was urgent now. Your mother, she wasn't just a scientist on the project. She was one of us, a successful subject from my generation. The only one who managed to break free of the programming completely. The revelation hit Sofia hard. Suddenly, her own capabilities, her resistance to certain aspects of the training, made more sense. And my father? Developed the original neural interface technology. Together, they understood the project better than anyone. That's why David wants them, not just to perfect Project Phoenix, but to understand why some subjects can break free while others can't. Sofia checked her weapons one final time, her movements automatic while her mind processed this new information. All this time you knew. You trained me knowing exactly who I was, what I might be capable of. I trained you to survive, Marcus replied. Everything else was up to you. They moved out into the night, heading toward what could be either answers or annihilation. Sofia's mind was focused, but questions burned beneath her concentration. Had her parents been prisoners all these years? Or willing participants? Had they been looking for her as she had searched for them? And most importantly, what would David do when he realized the daughter of Project Oracle's most successful subject was coming to shut him down? The answers waited in a facility filled with enemies, traps, and decades of buried secrets. Sofia intended to find them all. Ready? Marcus asked as they approached their insertion point. Sofia nodded, her expression determined. Time to finish what my parents started. The true war for Project Oracle's legacy was about to begin. The research facility loomed before them in the pre-dawn darkness, its modern security systems carefully concealed behind an aging industrial facade. Sofia and Marcus moved through the shadows like ghosts, their movements synchronized from years of training together. Through their earpieces, Raj's voice provided constant updates on security patterns and blind spots. Eastern perimeter breach in 3, 2, 1. Right on cue, Rachel and Maya's diversion team triggered alarms at a different Phoenix facility across the city. They watched as several security teams hastily departed in black SUVs. Vincent's people are in position, Raj reported. They've identified all escape routes and have eyes on every emergency exit. No one's leaving without us knowing. Sofia checked the specialized equipment they'd brought, neural scramblers designed to counteract Phoenix's control systems, and a prototype device that could theoretically disable the new generation of Prometheus protocol interfaces without harming the subjects connected to them. All untested, all potentially deadly if they malfunctioned. Security is still heavier than expected, Marcus observed as they reached their entry point, a maintenance shaft that Raj had identified in the building's original plans. David's not just protecting your parents. There's something else here. Sofia was about to respond when her enhanced vision caught movement on the roof, guards moving in patterns she recognized all too well. Those are Project Oracle survivors, first generation, like you said. Marcus nodded grimly. My old team. The ones who stayed loyal to the program. He paused, studying their movements. Elena's up there. She always favored high ground. Elena? My first student, before you. There was something in Marcus's voice Sofia had never heard before. Regret, maybe even fear. She's different. The original programming went deeper with her than anyone else. They breached the facility through the maintenance shaft, using Raj's digital intrusion to mask their entry. The interior was a maze of laboratories and medical equipment, everything gleaming and new despite the building's exterior. Life signs ahead, Raj warned through the comms. 2 guards, augmented neural patterns consistent with Phoenix enhancement. Sofia moved first, using a neural scrambler to disable the guards before they could even register her presence. Marcus caught them as they fell, ensuring their collapse was silent. Door at the end of this corridor, Raj guided them. Heavy encryption on the lock, but... Got it. You've got about 20 seconds before the system notices my override. They slipped through the door into what appeared to be a central research area. Multiple screens displayed neural mapping data, genetic sequencing, and what looked like real-time brain activity monitoring. Sofia, Marcus said softly, indicating a sealed observation room. Through the reinforced glass, they could see 2 people connected to advanced medical equipment, a man and woman in their 60s, apparently unconscious, but their brain activity readings showing intense neural engagement. Mom, Dad. Sofia moved toward the glass, but Marcus caught her arm. Wait, look at the neural patterns. He pointed to the streaming data. They're not just monitoring them. They're actively connected to something. Raj's voice crackled with urgency. He's right. Those signatures, they're interfacing with a new version of the Prometheus protocol, orders of magnitude more sophisticated than anything in the historical data. David wasn't trying to recreate the original project, Marcus realized. He needed your parents to perfect it. They're not test subjects. They're helping him build something worse. Before Sofia could process this, alarms blared throughout the facility, but not because of them. Multiple breaches, Raj reported. Someone else is hitting the facility. Professional team using... Wait, these are government tactical patterns, official agencies. CIA? FBI? Sofia asked. All of them, Raj replied. Someone leaked the facility's location and purpose. Every agency with an acronym is converging on your position. Marcus swore under his breath. This isn't random. David's covering his tracks. He's using the raid to evacuate the project and eliminate loose ends. As if confirming his words, the medical equipment in the observation room began disconnecting. Sofia's parents stirred, their vital signs fluctuating dangerously as the neural interfaces powered down. We need to get them out now. Sofia moved toward the door, but Marcus blocked her path. Sofia, think. Why today? Why are they disconnecting them at exactly this moment? She forced herself to focus past the emotional response of seeing her parents, the timing, the raid, the sudden shutdown of vital equipment. Because they completed something, she realized. The new protocol is ready. And now they don't need the designers anymore. Marcus confirmed grimly. Multiple forces were now converging on their position, government agents breaching the facility, Phoenix security moving to evacuate key assets, and somewhere in the chaos, David orchestrating it all. New plan, Sofia decided. We split up. I'll get my parents. You find whatever they were working on and destroy it. Sofia, Marcus started. I know, she cut him off. You think it's a trap. Everything about this screams trap. But they're my parents and I'm not leaving them again. Marcus studied her for a moment, then nodded. Just remember your training. Everything I taught you was to prepare me for this moment, she finished. I know. They separated, each moving with purpose as chaos erupted around them. Sofia headed for the observation room while Marcus disappeared into the facility's depths, hunting for the heart of Project Phoenix. Neither of them saw Elena watching from the shadows above, her augmented eyes tracking their movements, her neural implants already calculating multiple scenarios for their elimination. The endgame had begun. All hell broke loose in the facility as multiple forces converged. Government agents breached from several points, their tactical teams moving with military precision. Phoenix security forces engaged them in firefights throughout the building, creating chaos that masked the more subtle conflict unfolding beneath. Sofia reached the observation room just as emergency protocols initiated a full lockdown. The reinforced door yielded to her override codes, ones Marcus had given her just in case. Inside, her parents were struggling to orient themselves after being forcibly disconnected from the neural interface. Mom? Dad? Sofia approached carefully, aware that they might not recognize her, might even be hostile after years of conditioning. Her mother's eyes focused first, widening with recognition. Sofia? Her voice was hoarse from disuse. How? You look just like I remembered. We don't have time, her father interrupted, already moving with surprising agility for someone who'd been bedridden. The protocol. They finished it. They have everything they need now. To do what? Sofia helped them toward the door, her enhanced senses tracking multiple threats converging on their position. To remake humanity, her mother's voice was grim. The original Project Oracle was about creating perfect operators. This, she shuddered, this is about forced evolution, global neural networking. They'll link everyone, control everyone. Gunfire erupted in the corridor outside. Sofia guided her parents behind cover just as Rachel's voice crackled through her comms. Sofia, you've got incoming. Elena's team is moving to your position. Who's Elena? Sofia's father asked sharply. First-generation Oracle operative, Sofia explained, checking her weapons. Marcus's first student. Her parents exchanged alarmed looks. Elena wasn't just a student, her mother said. She was the prototype, the first successful merger of human consciousness with the Prometheus protocol. Before Sofia could process this, the ceiling above them exploded. Elena dropped into the room with inhuman grace, her augmented eyes glowing faintly in the emergency lighting. She moved like liquid metal, faster than even Sofia's enhanced reflexes could track. The fight was brutal and swift. Sofia managed to get her parents clear, but Elena's attacks drove her back, each strike precisely calculated to exploit any weakness. This was different from any combat Sofia had experienced. Elena wasn't just predicting moves, she was processing possibilities faster than human thought. Your parents completed the work, Elena said, her voice eerily calm as she pressed her attack. The new protocol is everything we dreamed of. Why fight it? Because we have a choice, Sofia countered, finally landing a solid strike that sent Elena staggering. We're not meant to be weapons. We were always weapons, Elena smiled, the expression unnaturally perfect. Marcus knew it. That's why he left me to join the resistance. He couldn't handle what we were becoming. The fight carried them through the facility, past running battles between government agents and Phoenix forces. Sofia caught glimpses of Marcus elsewhere in the building, fighting his way toward the central server room where the new protocol was housed. Through her comms, she heard Raj coordinating with Vincent's people, creating chaos that kept reinforcements from reaching them. Rachel and Maya had fought their way inside, systematically taking down Phoenix's enhanced operators. Elena's attacks became more intense, her movements blurring beyond human capability. "The protocol perfects us," she said. "Your parents proved it. Once the neural network goes live, everyone will be connected. No more war, no more conflict. Perfect unity." "Perfect control," Sofia corrected, recognizing the pattern in Elena's attacks now. She wasn't just fast, she was predictable. The protocol made her superhuman but took away her ability to truly improvise. Sofia switched tactics, falling into the random, chaotic patterns she'd learned from working with the Castellanos. Elena's enhanced processing couldn't predict what Sofia herself wasn't planning. "The protocol has you trapped in patterns," Sofia said as she landed a devastating combination. "You're not enhanced, you're limited." Elena's perfect facade cracked slightly. "You don't understand what you're fighting against. David has already uploaded the protocol to satellites. Once it activates..." A massive explosion rocked the facility. Through her comms, Sofia heard Marcus. "Server room rigged to blow, but Sofia, David's not here. This was never the main facility." Elena laughed, blood trickling from her augmented eyes. "Of course not. This was just a backup site. The real protocol..." She gestured upward. "It's already in orbit. Waiting. Ready." Sofia made her decision. "Raj, get me everything you can on those satellites. Rachel, Maya, get my parents to the extraction point. Marcus... I'm on my way to you," he replied. "Elena was my student, my responsibility." "No," Sofia said firmly. "She's all of our responsibility. Everything Project Oracle created, it ends tonight." The final confrontation built toward its climax as Sofia faced Elena, both products of the same program, but representing starkly different futures. Above them, in orbit, David's ultimate version of the protocol waited to transform humanity. The real war was just beginning. Sofia raised her fists, ready for the final round. "Let's finish this." Elena's augmented eyes flared as she launched herself forward, both warriors committing fully to the decisive battle that would determine not just their fates, but potentially the future of human consciousness itself. Parda, character decision point. The battle between Sofia and Elena reached its crescendo in the facility's central atrium. Their combat had evolved beyond mere physical confrontation. It was a clash of philosophies, of different visions for humanity's future. Elena's augmented abilities made her movements blindingly fast, but Sofia's unpredictability kept her in the fight. "Your mother understood," Elena shouted as she launched another precisely calculated attack. She saw the potential. Perfect unity, perfect understanding. Why do you think she helped complete the protocol? Sofia ducked under a strike that would have shattered concrete. She helped because you gave her no choice. But she built in a weakness, didn't she? She had to have. Through her comms, she heard Raj's voice. "Sofia, I've got something. The satellite network. There's a pattern in its deployment. Your mother's neural signature is all over the programming." "A backdoor," Sofia's father's voice joined the channel. "We built in a failsafe, but accessing it requires..." He hesitated. "Requires what?" Sofia demanded, barely avoiding Elena's devastating combination. "Direct neural interface," her mother answered. "Someone with the right genetic markers, the right training. Someone who can withstand the protocol's influence long enough to trigger the shutdown sequence." Marcus's voice cut in. "Sofia, no. The neural load would be catastrophic. Even Elena couldn't handle a direct connection to the full protocol." Elena laughed, the sound disturbingly melodic. "He's right. I tried. It burned out half my original neural pathways. That's why I needed the augmentation." She tapped her glowing eyes. The human mind wasn't meant to contain that much power. Sofia's mind raced as she fought. Her mother had survived the original Project Oracle programming. Those genes, that potential had been passed down, combined with Marcus's training and her own unique experiences. "The control center," she said through the comms. "Where is it?" "Sofia, don't," Marcus pleaded. "There has to be another way." "The satellites go live in 15 minutes, Raj reported. Once the protocol activates, it'll be irreversible. Elena pressed her attack, driving Sofia toward the facility's upper levels. You feel it, don't you? The potential. The power waiting to be unleashed. Stop fighting it. Instead of resisting, Sofia suddenly went with Elena's momentum, using her own enhanced strength to propel them both through a reinforced door. They crashed into what had to be the facility's true control center, a room filled with neural interface equipment far more advanced than what her parents had been connected to. You want to stop us? Elena's voice held genuine curiosity. Then do it. Connect. Try to override the protocol. It'll burn out your mind just like all the others. Sofia's team converged on their position, Marcus, Rachel, Maya, all arriving in time to witness her choice. Through the facility's windows, they could see government forces establishing a perimeter, unaware of the real danger lurking in orbit above them. Your parents are safe, Rachel reported. Vincent's people have them secure. 10 minutes to satellite activation. Raj's voice was tense. Sofia stepped toward the neural interface chair. Marcus moved to stop her, but Elena blocked his path with inhuman speed. Let her choose, Elena said, her augmented eyes flickering with something like anticipation. Let her see what she's really fighting against. Sofia, Marcus's voice held real fear now. Everything I taught you was to keep you away from this moment. This kind of power. It changes you, corrupts you. No, Sofia replied calmly. You taught me to think for myself, to question everything, to find my own path. She began connecting the interface nodes. Mom knew this moment would come. That's why she built in the failsafe. She was waiting for someone who could make the right choice. If you do this, Elena warned, there's no going back. The neural load will either burn out your mind or transform it. You won't be human anymore. Sofia looked at her team, at Marcus, who had prepared her for this without knowing it, at Rachel and Maya, who had shown her the strength and unity, at Elena, who represented everything she was fighting to prevent. Maybe humanity needs to change, Sofia said as she settled into the chair, but not through control, through choice. She activated the interface. Immediately, her consciousness expanded, connecting to the vast network waiting in orbit. The pain was indescribable as the protocol tried to overwhelm her neural pathways, tried to subsume her individual identity into its collective. But Sofia had something Elena and the others didn't. The genetic resilience of her mother, the trained independence from Marcus, and most importantly, the chaos factor she'd learned from working with ordinary humans. Her mind bent, but didn't break. Through the haze of agony and expansion, she found what her mother had hidden in the code. Not just a failsafe, but a complete redesign of the protocol's purpose. Not control, but connection. Not conformity, but understanding. Oh, Elena breathed, her augmented senses perceiving the change as it began. That's what she was building. Sofia screamed as she initiated the transformation, rewriting the protocol even as it rewrote her. Above them, the satellites prepared to activate, not as instruments of control, but as a bridge between minds, a way to share understanding while preserving choice. The future hung in the balance as Sofia fought for humanity's right to choose its own path. All she had to do was survive the next 5 minutes with her identity intact. The real question was, what would she become in the process? The transformation lasted exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds, though for Sofia, it felt like an eternity. Her consciousness expanded through the satellite network, touching millions of minds, experiencing the full potential of what Project Oracle had been trying to achieve. But instead of controlling those minds, she opened them to understanding. Through the haze of neural connection, she saw Elena fall to her knees, her augmented systems overwhelmed by the changed protocol. Marcus and the others watched in awe as the facility's screens lit up with new data, not the harsh, controlling patterns of Project Phoenix, but something organic, interconnected, alive. It's beautiful, Elena whispered, her augmented eyes flickering as they adjusted to the new reality. This is what it was supposed to be all along. Sofia's mother's voice came through the neural link, clear and strong. The protocol was never meant to control. It was meant to connect, to help us understand each other. David and his people corrupted that vision. We had to wait for someone who could restore it. When Sofia finally disconnected from the interface chair, she was changed. Not in the way Elena had been changed. No glowing eyes or mechanical augmentations. Her transformation was deeper, more fundamental. She could still feel the network at the edges of her consciousness, but as a gentle presence rather than an overwhelming force. "The satellites?" she asked, her voice hoarse. "Completely reconfigured," Raj confirmed through the comms. "Whatever you and your mother did up there, it changed everything. The protocol isn't forcing connections anymore. It's offering them, waiting for people to choose." Government forces had secured the facility, but they found nothing of Project Phoenix's original purpose. All evidence of the controlling version of the protocol had been erased, replaced by something they couldn't begin to understand. David was found in a remote backup facility already in custody. Without the protocol to enforce his vision, his entire operation crumbled. The children he had tried to program were freed, their minds intact thanks to Sofia's transformation of the system. Elena stood before Sofia, her augmented systems now aligned with the new protocol. "I was wrong," she said simply. "About everything. What happens now?" Sofia looked at her team, at Marcus, who had prepared her for this moment without realizing it, at Rachel and Maya, who had shown her the strength of true connection, at her parents, who had hidden the truth within the lies until someone could handle it. "Now we build something new," Sofia replied. "Something based on choice, not control. The world's not ready for full neural integration, but we can help prepare it, guide it, protect it." "And the other survivors?" Marcus asked. "The ones from all generations of Project Oracle?" "We find them," Sofia said firmly. "We help them heal. We show them there's another way." The aftermath unfolded over weeks. The Castellano organization, true to their original purpose, helped establish a new network of protection and support for the survivors. Vincent proved particularly adept at identifying and assisting those who had been damaged by the original protocol. Sofia's parents, freed from their forced collaboration, began working on ways to use their knowledge for healing rather than control. Their understanding of neural architecture proved invaluable in helping both the original Project Oracle subjects and the children David had tried to program. Elena, her augmentations now serving understanding rather than control, became instrumental in bridging the gap between the different generations of survivors. Her perfect memory and processing power were redirected toward healing and integration. Marcus found a new purpose in training others to resist control, to maintain their individuality, while still connecting with others. His guilt over his role in Project Oracle transformed into determination to prevent similar programs from ever taking root. As for Sofia herself, she became something unique, neither purely human nor artificially augmented, but a bridge between different states of being. She could access the neural network when needed, but remained grounded in her humanity, in the chaos and choice that had allowed her to transform the protocol. Standing on the roof of the former Castellano restaurant, now converted into a sanctuary for survivors, Sofia looked out over the city. She could feel the network humming at the edge of her consciousness, connecting those who chose to connect, helping those who needed help, but never forcing, never controlling. "Was it worth it?" Marcus asked, joining her at the edge. Sofia thought about everything that had brought her to this moment. The lies, the training, the fights, the revelations. She thought about the children who would now grow up with the choice to connect rather than the obligation to conform. "Yes," she said simply, "because now we all have a choice." Below them, the city pulsed with life, its people unaware of how close they had come to losing their free will, unaware of the guardians who now watched over their right to choose their own path. The war for humanity's future was over. The work of protecting that future was just beginning. And Sofia, standing between worlds, was ready for whatever came next. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.